My name is Rachel Dworkin for the Chemung County Historical Society. Today is July 1st, 2021, and this is for the COVID Memory Project. I am here interviewing
Crystal Forsyth.
All right, Crystal, thank you very much. Can you tell me what it is that you do and how long you've been doing it?
I am a direct support assistant for New York State, Broome, DDSO, OPWDD, also known as, and I've been there 5 years.
Okay. So what is it that you normally do there?
I help integrate and assist people in the community that are developmentally disabled. They also have health conditions, to do their daily care, their medication, and to help them get integrated back into the community.
All right, thank you. When the COVID lockdown went into place in March of 2020, how did that impact your work?
Initially, the individuals were restricted from outings, going out in the community. Their day programs that they attend, we were asked to try and make doctor's appointments Zoom if they weren't absolutely necessary to actually go and attend.
And how did it impact the staff? Were there any changes in terms of staffing or what you were supposed to do on your off time or any of that?
The staff were asked to just limit their personal time from work to home. They didn't really want us out in the community much, fear of contracting COVID and bringing it to the workplace.
Okay. And how about movements between the various homes that you were servicing normally?
Usually you could be pulled or work at a house that needed assistance if they were low on staff, but they restricted the movements within the houses temporarily.
Okay. And were you provided with any personal protective equipment?
Yes, we had masks at the beginning, and then as houses were put on restrictions, they would call it, you would have to wear gowns and face shields and gloves and masks if your home that you were in currently had COVID positive individuals or staff.
So how many people normally work or lived in a home?
Each house is different. The house I worked in during the outbreak mainly was a 9-bed house, so there were 9 individuals in the home.
And how many staff?
Usually 5 on the day shift. Each shift is different as well based on needs throughout the day. But I worked the day shift and we had 5 staff minimum.
Okay, so you said there was an outbreak. When was this outbreak?
Around Thanksgiving.
Okay, can you tell me what happened, how that went, how?
Well, it's all guessing really. We had an individual that had gone to the hospital for a surgery, and she was our first person to test positive. After her surgery, a week later, she tested positive for COVID, and then myself and other staff actually also tested positive a few days after her.
Okay. So did they have a regular testing protocol?
No. Okay, so yes, in a way. We had to do daily temps and O2 stats on all the individuals. And staff coming into the workplace, they had a COVID symptom checklist. Same with the individuals. And we would have to take our temps before we could come in the house also.
So the infection was discovered because of this symptom check?
Actually, no. She actually had like a random episode of emesis and was complaining of shortness, like having trouble breathing. And she has asthma, so, at the time, maybe just a cold or something. But with the symptoms, they did test her for COVID, and it did come back positive.
And did they test everybody for COVID as a result?
They did not, because at the time, the health department was saying if one is infected, basically assume everybody's infected. So as the individuals and the staff developed symptoms, then they were getting tested.
Okay. So what happened when you developed symptoms? or did you develop symptoms?
The only symptom that I developed, well, I'm gonna say I had a headache, but get a lot of migraines and things, so I didn't associate that with COVID, just because for me headaches are normal. And honestly, I would never have known I had COVID if I hadn't lost my taste and smell. Other than that, I just felt normal.
Okay. So once you got COVID, did you receive any particular instructions on like what to do in terms of coming to work or not coming to work?
So my work, when I notified them, they go 10 days from your symptom date that you're to be out of work or to be cleared by the health department.
Okay. So then you were at home with your family.
Yes.
Did any of them wind up getting sick?
My fiance, he also tested positive for COVID. He just had cold symptoms. He didn't think he had COVID. He just thought maybe he had a cold based on the time of the year. And then our children, we didn't even have tested. The health department just suggested that we isolate and quarantine all of us and assume that the girls were positive.
Okay. But none of the girls had symptoms?
No. And if they had COVID, they were asymptomatic. And we don't know because the health department said there was no sense in testing them anyway.
Okay. Have you experienced any like longer term symptoms, or did it just clear up?
It didn't just clear up. Mainly the taste and smell lingered. It took a while for it to come back, and then things tasted off even after it did come back, or things smell weird to me now, such as yogurts, things with milk like cottage cheese, ice cream, sour cream, yogurts. They just don't appeal to me the way they did prior to COVID.
Okay. So although you were infected, were you vaccinated afterwards?
No.
So you're not vaccinated
No.
currently? Was that an option provided at work, or?
It was.
Okay.
Yep. They offered everyone the vaccination if they chose.
Okay. And are you comfortable at saying why you chose not to?
I just feel for my personal, I don't pass judgment on anybody if they did or did not get the vaccination. For me, it's kind of came out pretty quick, pretty fast, and there's not enough research and studies, I guess I should say, to give me enough, hey, this is okay to do right now. I'm not saying maybe I'll never get it, but at this point, I'm just not comfortable with that. I also had COVID. I know everybody's experience is different. So for me, I felt that I was okay, so I'm not to say that nothing down the line I could get it again and it might be worse, but at this time I think that I'm okay with not getting the vaccine.
Okay. I assume that you're also not getting your kids vaccinated for the same reasons?
Currently, yeah.
Okay. So about your kids, how old are they?
They range from the age of 19 to 13.
Okay. And they were in school for this, correct?
Yep.
Can you tell us a little bit about how COVID and the shutdown impacted them and their schooling?
It was rough. My two girls, mainly my younger two girls, they really need to be in school. That's just how they learn best and how they do their best. This year itself was a struggle for the first half of the year just because they were home. And constantly having to make sure they're doing their assignments, getting their assignments done on time. And that was a real struggle. My children went from honor students to almost failing students.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so the first couple semesters were really a struggle in our house. And then once they were able to go back to school, they went back to honor students.
So they're doing
much
better this semester.
Yeah.
So when did they go back into school?
Oh my goodness. It's been, I want to say 2 semesters now that they were back.
So like since January or?
Yeah, no, maybe a little after that. I can't really remember what month it was now, but I'm just glad they're back now and doing better in
Okay.
school.
So how would you say COVID has impacted you guys as a family other than that time you were all quarantined and sick?
Even my kids have their own views on it. We don't really discuss it much, but I know each person has their own opinion, so that's interesting to see in the house and talk about. I don't know, really. Let me think. It was hard around when we had it because our son was coming home from school. He was out of town for college, and we weren't able to see him as much because we were on quarantine, and when they're home from school, they're only home for so long. And our oldest daughter was with her mother, so we didn't get to see her till after Christmas, till Christmas actually, because, her mom was worried about her contracting it if she came to the house for the holidays. So we kind of felt separated, even though we were together in a way. Like, our two girls were there for Thanksgiving, but we were separated. Our Thanksgiving meals were in our bedrooms, So it made it hard. You kind of felt isolated even though you were together in a sense.
Okay. Is there anything else you would like to add about your COVID experience?
Not that I can think of.
Alrighty. Well, thank you.
You're welcome.